What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka All Fires. Now, if you rewind the clock to about 2 years ago, there was this massive rumor that Sacha Baron Cohen was on the set of Ironheart. We would then see some set photos that seemed to confirm this. The rumor at the time is that he was actually playing Mephisto in the MCU. There were other rumors too, like he had bought the Avengers Tower, which now has since been debunked, but the rumors have remained that he's the actual villain behind the hood in the upcoming Ironheart series, and incidentally, we're gonna know later this year. But now we have a brand new update from the leaks this weekend that sort of flew under the radar because of the way things were labeled. It wasn't exactly apparent what was going on, but we have a huge breaking story pointed out by an industry insider that those leaks revealed it might not actually be Mephisto, but a different returning villain from the Infinity Saga. We're going to break it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. If you're into that kind of thing, hit the sub button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so obviously when all that concept art dropped over the weekend, we were all very excited. There was a lot to look at and break down, and I feel like most people did a great job of being pretty thorough with everything we were seeing. We definitely drew some conclusions here at the channel that I think might still hold up when the movies drop. But there was one file that flew under the radar as part of that leak that none other than Daniel Richtman was able to point out because he went over it extensively. And as he pointed out, one of the files was from April of 2022 and was labeled Wise Guy, which is the working title for Ironheart. What's even more is that it was labeled Human Dormammu. Now, the reason during the prologue we referenced the Mephisto leak was, what if Sacha Baron Cohen isn't playing Mephisto, rather he's playing Dormammu returned in human form because of the grudge he still has against Doctor Strange and wanting to take over the Earth from the first Doctor Strange film. This would track for two reasons. Number one, the Hood, the villain we know is confirmed for the film, actually gets his hood and power from Dormammu in the comics. This would be an accurate comic book origin. Mephisto was just something we assumed that they had sort of substituted. Also, you could imagine that the original leaks of people talking about his villain who didn't know who he was playing, just knew he was a human incarnation of a mystical being, could have guessed incorrectly that he was playing Mephisto based on their information when really it was Dormammu all along, pun totally intended. The second thing that tracks is we've been hearing Dormammu casting rumors and going back for about 6 months. If you guys remember, before Denzel confirmed that Ryan Coogler was writing apart from him in Black Panther 3, earlier that same month, it was reported that he was joining the MCU or in talks to join the MCU, and the character he was reported to be playing was Dormammu. Now look, I'm sure you heard some other content creators, and myself included, talk about the disclaimers when it comes to concept art. Not only do they actually make a ton more frames than they ever use, but when it comes to this kind of stuff in the early concept art for the film, the artists really have free reign to do whatever they want, and we've seen that in many instances where a lot of these frames, not only were the characters in the frame not in the film, the whole scene just didn't happen. So there is a chance, again, this concept art being from April of 2022, at this point very close to 3 years old, in the early pre-production for Ironheart when they were working out what would happen in the series, that he made a ton of concept art for Human Dormammu and other villains that aren't a part of the show. However, Dormammu has had human forms in the past with arms and legs, been able to fight against villains, not just portrayed as the giant floating head, metaphorically in the dark dimension as the ruler of that. So I think there is a possibility, though, that the scoop was wrong all along and Sacha Baron Cohen is not playing Mephisto, rather Dormammu. Either one of these villains will be really cool to see in Ironheart, but because of the comic book accuracy of having Dormammu be the one who supplies the hood with his hood and power, it seems like this might be a lot more likely the case now that we've seen the concept art. Now, if you're wondering about Sacha Baron Cohen actually being involved with Ironheart, there have been some copyright filings officially that list him among the actual cast for Ironheart. So there is paperwork outside of just rumor and speculation that he's actually in the show. But Deadline initially reported in their very first report that sort of set this all off, and again, it's coming from Deadline, who usually has airtight sources when they run these kind of reports, that a source close to Cohen reported he was most likely playing Mephisto. Room for misinterpretation maybe, but that's pretty specific language and a character name drop, just not "I'm unsure." And undoubtedly, the inclusion of Mephisto after the long-hanging hangover from him not being included in WandaVision, but then name-dropped all these years later in Agatha All Along, would seem to tie better into the current storyline than bringing Dormammu back out of nowhere, a villain that only featured and during one movie in Doctor Strange 1. It has been a long time since that movie has come out, and although Marvel has said that the show of Ironheart looks to pit magic against technology, Ironheart representing the tech, the Hood representing magic, and Dormammu, who's already been introduced as a main force from the Dark Dimension as influencing magic. We saw that with the Ancient One. I still think it unlikely after all this time that Dormammu makes more sense in the MCU right now than introducing Mephisto. So for devil's advocacy's sake, well, pun totally intended, but in this case, maybe no pun at all, I think Mephisto being introduced would be more interesting to fans and maybe more in line what we'd expect from Sacha Baron Cohen to play rather than taking up the role of Dormammu. And again, if you're interested as to who played him the first time, that was actually Benedict Cumberbatch voicing Dormammu as well as playing Doctor Strange in that film. Now, as far as leaks and spoilers go, because it feels like this might be the last video on these most recent leaks, well, until we get some confirmations or debunks of either kind and we have to revisit them, there are probably going to be some set photo leaks or drone shots, some on-set footage, behind the scenes stuff for Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, because the Russos just said in yesterday's interview that they're at least shooting some of this outside. And while they went as far to say is that they were trying to strategize against anybody getting shots and they picked specific locations in mind in order to help them do this, the paparazzi is relentless and these shots and photos are just worth too many clicks to the people who try to go get them. There's going to be more leaks coming. And as I remarked for the reaction to everything that leaked over the weekend was it didn't feel like it spoiled anything because we've already seen a lot of that imagery right from the comic books. In fact, everybody's response was overwhelmingly positive and they just were more hyped. Plus, this doesn't cost Marvel any money, so it's a net positive, really, from the people who are in charge of their marketing. But from a standpoint of being a fan, if there are some of you who are attempting to stay spoiler-free, what I would say is it seems like you're going to see this stuff immediately on social media every day, way faster than you're going to see it here on the YouTube channel. But that's the kind of stuff we're going to be covering, and I just want you to know that going in. If you stay subbed here at the channel, as soon as there are leaks, we do our best to cover them ASAP for the Avengers films. That's what we were built on. That's what we're going to continue to do. Just a disclaimer about we're going to continue to cover this stuff, and if it's not for you, I totally understand, but that's what we do with the channel. Let me know all your thoughts, though, down below. Do you think it's human Dormammu, or do you think it's Mephisto? Which one would you actually prefer? I'm all ears, as always. Quickly, we are still giving away PlayStation 5s at the channel. Just be a sub and leave a comment on the video. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. If you want, hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on to help you better keep up with the videos. And of course, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to All Fires. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.